The perception of cybersecurity, I think, has evolved around physical security, data breaches, as well as primarily access to data. One of the things that most organizations don't think about as effectively, I think, is the human element. I mean, I get that firms are doing training, they are working with the people to make sure that they understand the policies and procedures, but most organizations really don't understand this issue I call the human element of cybersecurity. The human element is really focused around the behaviors that actually are the main cause and driver of cybersecurity. Things like not just passwords. We know the issue with passwords, but let's think about it this way. When your employees are searching the web during working hours, they're leaving a footprint in the internet. That footprint, as opposed to being on the beach where the waves come in and wash those footprints away, in cyberspace, they don't go away. So if someone opens an account and they use the same password and access credentials that they use at work, a hacker knows that that kind of behavior can be used to go back and breach an organization. That happens more frequently than people realize. So this idea of security is really not bounded by the security procedures that exist within the firm. IT security professionals need to think outside of this new sort of borderless environment that we now operate in. Everyone knows this, but we live in a networked environment. Social media is a big part of what people do in cyberspace. But that traffic of employees leads back to the organization. And no matter what amount of money you spend on IT security, you're leaving the front door open, you're leaving the windows open, because your employees don't really understand that their behavior outside of work and even during work will lead back to the organization and result in a breach. So I think that mind shift is very important. So the perception of risk being contained is no longer applicable. IT risk professionals and the organization needs to understand that there may be a need to redesign the work environment so that they can contain risk based on the behavior of their employees in a way that they haven't considered before. All of these tools that we're building to manage risk can be used against us. It's called dual use. Dual use is a big risk that no one talks about. No one seems to really understand as well. But it's really important to keep that in mind. If you're a developer of technology, you need to understand that it can be used. There's a dual use to that technology. So building in security, right, to mitigate or reduce or eliminate the dual use is something that we need to get the word out about. We need for developers to start to think about that instead of rushing to market. They need to think about how someone could use it maliciously. We need the buyers of that technology to ask those questions. How could this technology that I'm buying could be used against me? For a lot of the technology that we buy has been outsourced to foreign countries. Do we really understand that technology? Those kinds of things we take for granted because we trust technology. Trust on the internet is greater. So we need to understand the parameters of trust and make sure that we are anticipating those. So that's a big trend that I think is just starting. It's not new, but it's becoming more prevalent.